Hello and welcome to another video from Gelato. My name is Sasha and I'm here to help onboard the next billion users to Web3. Today we'll be talking about a hot topic, serverless cloud functions for Web3. Serverless cloud functions are already a standard in Web2 and they help remove the need for managing servers, updating frameworks, patching operating systems, and configuring software. The servers and infrastructure are fully managed by providers such as AWS or Google. So where does Web3 come into this? Gelato aims to be Web3's decentralized backend. And Gelato's Web3 functions announced in late 2022 in private beta are a big step towards that lofty goal. Gelato's Web3 functions bring all the benefits of serverless cloud functions with Web3 natively integrated through Gelato's products, namely Gelato Automate and Gelato Relay, bringing decentralized cloud functions and off-chain data and computation to Web3 developers. At ETH Denver 2023, Chainlink announced its take on serverless cloud functions named Chainlink Functions. Gelato's Web3 functions and Chainlink functions address similar problems on the surface, but there are major differences in their implementation, which can lead to implications for your project in terms of performance and cost. This video will go over the differences at a high level, but if you're interested in learning more, please head to the link in the description below where there's a full blog post with nice images and tables describing everything in detail. To start off, let's walk through Gelato's Web3 functions so that we can get an idea on how to compare and contrast the two services. So Web3 functions utilize Gelato's decentralized network of nodes to power your serverless cloud function. By adopting this innovative approach, developers can forego traditional providers such as AWS or Google Cloud in favor of a Web3 native infrastructure. So Gelato's Web3 functions can be thought of as decentralized cloud functions that enable Web3 developers to connect their smart contracts to off-chain data, ensure this data is accurate and is signed off by multiple parties, run off-chain computation, execute transactions on all major blockchains that Gelato supports, and send notifications triggered by events or state changes. So how does Gelato's Web3 functions work? Let's walk through a high-level overview. So we start off with developers like yourself writing a Web3 function. Now what does that mean? That means writing a JavaScript or a TypeScript file containing certain logic. And based on that logic, you can execute and trigger events, payments, or state updates on chain. So using the Web3 function SDK, you can deploy this file to IPFS. And once it's on IPFS and you have its content identifier or CID, this CID can be linked using Gelato's UI or again programmatically to certain trigger events. For example, executing every minute and in the future based on webhooks or events emitted on chain. The most significant technical difference between Gelato's Web3 functions and Chainlink functions is their execution model. Gelato's Web3 functions use a worker model, whilst Chainlink functions use a request and response model. Now what does that mean? So if we have a look at this diagram here, you can see that Chainlink functions only trigger after someone sends an on-chain transaction that requires paying for gas costs. This two-transaction model has the downside of creating significant latency and cost overhead, as every Chainlink function execution requires paying for two on-chain transactions, one to request and another one to fulfill. Gelato's Web3 functions, on the other hand, trigger the execution of Web3 functions continuously off-chain, e.g. every minute or every 30 seconds, and thus being gasless and not requiring for the user to pay for on-chain transactions to run. Additionally, Gelato's Web3 functions are live on 6 mainnets as of today, whilst Chainlink functions are only live on testnets. In terms of developer friendliness, Gelato's Web3 functions offers support for external NPM modules, a larger source code limit, and a user-friendly interface. Chainlink functions, on the other hand, do not support NPM modules and have a smaller source code limit, which can be limiting in some circumstances. Both services use JavaScript for coding, though Web3 functions does also support TypeScript. Finally, Gelato Web3 functions offer built-in RPC, storage of secrets, such as API keys if you need them natively, whilst Chainlink functions lacks these features. In summary, whilst both Gelato's Web3 functions and Chainlink functions address a similar set of problems for Web3 developers like yourselves, Gelato's Web3 functions possess lower latency, are more cost efficient, and have more developer-friendly features. And we think it's because of this that Gelato's Web3 functions in the month after launch in private beta were run over 1 million times. With this worker model instead of a request-response model and support for multiple mainnets, Gelato's Web3 functions are a more flexible and cost-efficient solution for Web3 developers. If you're interested in being on the whitelist and actually trying out Web3 functions, please head to the link in the description below and fill out the form and you will be whitelisted and you can go ahead and try out Web3 functions for yourself. And please come ahead over to the Discord where we'd be glad to help with any questions and implementation questions that you might have. Thanks so much and see you next time.